We used to hear so many stories about Bermuda Triangle, because it was this place where things just disappeared, and nobody could explain why. Eventually, we stopped talking about Bermuda Triangle, but today we have something even more mysterious. I call it the Concord Triangle. Think about it. We are seeing a place where companies throw hundreds of millions of dollars, years of work, and thousands of developers only for the game to go poof the second it launches. What's even crazier is that they don't seem to learn. They just keep doing it. Different colors, different studios, different budgets, but the same empty result. We can look at the trailer for 3 seconds and say, yeah, this is dog shit. It's obvious to us. But the people running these studios, they have no idea. They're releasing games that nobody asked for, made by people who doesn't seem to understand what makes a game fun. They have a huge money behind them, Tencent, BlackRock, and other corporate giants, but the games are dead before they even arrive. To understand the triangle, you have to look at the game that named it, Concord. It took 8 years to make. 8 effing years. That's a massive chunk of someone's career. It cost roughly $400 million, and yet it lasted about 2 weeks. It wasn't just a bad game, it was a ghost. It felt like it was made in a lab by people who had heard of video games, but never actually played one. The characters were bland, the world felt empty, and it was trying to charge $40 in a world where every other hero shooter is free. Sony threw an entire studio under the bus for this. They closed Firewalk Studios, they deleted the game from the store, and they tried to act like it never happened. But the Triangle doesn't forget. You would think that after Concord companies would be scared. Instead, they just keep sailing into the triangle. Look at Highguard. It just came out in January 2026. This game had $100 to $200 million behind it and took 4 years to build. It's made by veterans from Apex and Titanfall, so the talent was there. But the game itself? It's another hero shooter raid game. It's sitting at mixed reviews and the player count is already dropping. The studio already had layoffs just weeks after launch. Then you have Killer Inn, released by Square Enix on February 12th this year. I can't even find the exact budget, but you can guess it took about 4 or 5 years and at least $50 million. It's a 24-player murder mystery shooter. It's a weird idea that nobody was asking for, and even though it's cheap, it's already a ghost town, even if it's still in the early access. It's the same story every time. The studios have no idea what we want, so they just keep releasing Slop and hoping one of them will hit the jackpot. Now we have to look at what's coming next. The Triangle is waiting for Marathon and Horizon Hunters Gathering. Marathon is supposed to come out on March 5th this year. Bungie has spent over 4 years and at least $120 million on this. But look at the drama. They had massive layoffs and a smear campaign against their own fans. The sentiment is so bad right now. Even if they get 100k players on day one, look at the history. People are tired of extraction shooters. My prediction is that within a month or two, that game will be struggling to keep its lights on. Then there's Horizon Hunters, or Horizon Hunters Gathering. Who asked for this? We loved Horizon, especially the first one, because it was a great single-player story. Now Sony wants to turn it into a stylized, cartoonish co-op game that looks like every other slop game on the market. And of course they're burning at least $100 to $200 million on a game that looks worse than games from 5 years ago. It's just sad. So why is this happening? I think the truth is simple. Western game companies have become obsessed with this so-called Fortnite jackpot. They don't want to make a good single-player game anymore because that's a one-time payment. They want live service that they can milk for years. The problem is they've lost the talent. The good developers are already burned out, or some of them left to make indie games. The people left are just following corporate checklists and DEI agendas. They make soulless characters and bland stories because they are afraid to take risks. They would rather burn billions of dollars on a hope than just make a game that's fun to play. You can see it with PlayStation and Xbox. They've sold millions of consoles, but they've barely released any major exclusives. They are killing their own franchises to please shareholders, and they keep raising the price of subscriptions to cover their losses. So the conclusion, basically, we are just witnessing something much bigger than just a few bad games. We are witnessing the end of era of speculative gambling. For the last 10 years, these companies weren't making games for us, they were making games for investors. They were trying to prove they could create a money printer that would last forever. But in 2026, the money has run out. Like, for example, look at the chaos at the top. Phil Spencer, the man who led Xbox for a decade, just retired. Sony just shut down Bluepoint Games, a studio known for masterpieces, without them ever releasing a single original game under Sony's wing. Why? Because the live service dream turned into a nightmare. They spent billions chasing the Concord Triangle, and now they have to answer to the people who gave them the money. The truth is, the Fortnite jackpot was a lie. It's always been a lie. It's a 1 in a million shot, and these companies bet their entire future on it. But now they are in a state of pure panic. They are raising subscription prices and putting an AI executive in charge of Xbox because they've given up on the craft of making games and moved on to efficiency. And that's where the mystery ends. The Concord Triangle isn't a supernatural force. It's just a corporate greed hitting a brick wall. They forgot the games are art, and art requires soul. You can't manufacture soul with $400 million and a checklist. So where does that leave us? It leaves us back where we started. We are going back to the basics, basically. We are looking at the studios that actually care. The indies that are still taking risks, and the games that don't try to treat us like a wallet with a controller. The industry might be on fire, but the gaming isn't. We are just watching the old world burn down so something real can grow in its place. Thanks for watching.